Can God do more miracles outside of the U.S. than inside the U.S.? Hi, I'm Ken Yates from Grace Evangelical Society, and I would like to discuss that issue for just a few minutes. I have to give you a warning before I start. This is a pet peeve of mine. I'm going to be on a soapbox because I have, through my travels with Grace Evangelical Society, gone to other countries, and I've heard missionaries talk over there. And one of the things you'll hear them say fairly commonly is that Satan is more active in other countries. That they'll say that's why in other countries you see people speak in tongues, more miracles. You'll even hear people say that the dead are being raised. And this is supported by American missionaries. And then they'll even go back to the States and tell people, oh, we see Satan so much more evident outside of the U.S. Recently, I saw a video on a podcast by a guy by the name of Josh Howerton. And he had a man on there on this particular podcast named Jon Tyson. And Jon Tyson is the pastor of a large church in New York City. He is a best-selling author, and he originally is from Australia, and he came here to the States approximately 2 decades ago to, in his words, be engaged in renewal of the Western church. Now, I think Australia is part of the West, but I think he means mainly the U.S. And he was talking about why we don't see miracles here in the States. And that's connected with what I was talking about in other countries, Satan is so much supposedly more active, and you see him, and that's the bad side of it. But the good side of it is that in these countries, you also see miracles. You also see people being healed, for example, of their diseases that you don't see in the U.S. And here's how he explains why that's the case. Let's show the video.
So why is it that here we are at Lake Point, Sunday morning you would, in your heart, say, we are 100% open to whatever Jesus wants to do, and you would pray for someone to be healed.
I want that to be true.
And probably they wouldn't be healed.
That's right.
And that same team would go to Guatemala or India and pray, and people would get healed.
That's fact.
And then it's like, when you're leaving JFK, the hostess is like, ladies and gentlemen, the supernatural gifts of the Spirit will be made available as you leave the stratosphere. And when you land, you'll have a new ministry toolkit. And as they're, telling you to put your seats up, that we'll now be collecting those supernatural gifts, and you can return to your word-based ministry. I think there's a worldview issue where people aren't open to it. There's a collective faith issue. So it seems like it's the corporate atmosphere of faith, not just the individual. Someone in a cessationist church desperate for God will get a breakthrough the typical person doesn't want out of faith and hunger.
Desperation. Yeah.
And then, but what happens when you build an atmosphere where the whole church is hungry? God will bypass 99 lukewarm churches to move in a hungry church. So there's something about the corporate atmosphere of faith that seemed in the ministry of Jesus to facilitate things. Now, this is a mystery. I want to probably give immediately 10 layers of nuance on this.
That's fine.
But there's something about this where Jesus seems to value the corporate expression of faith. And in the West, we just do not have faith.
You can see that his view is that the reason why we don't see those miracles here in the States is because, no surprise, we don't have faith. In the video, what he says is that, maybe an individual will have faith, but churches don't. If we could expand on his view, and I'm sure this is what it is, we can listen to what he had to say. We are like, in the United States, we are like Nazareth. You know, when Jesus went to Nazareth, he was rejected, couldn't do much there. They ran him out of town. But if a church will be hungry, and what he means by that is hungry for miracles, hungry for a movement of the Spirit in a mighty way. If the church as a whole will do that, then God will act, and we'll see miracles. I'm sure he would say we would see more tongues. We would see all kinds of wonderful things done by God. And what this guy's selling is just not true. Jon Tyson, when he's talking about the fact that these other countries see all these miraculous events because their churches are full of faith, that's not true. When you go to these other countries, and some of the ones that I've been to, the theology in these churches is horrible. Almost all of them, I would say practically all of them, believe you can lose your salvation. They believe in a salvation of works. Their theology is mixed in with tribal religions or animism. They've got horrible theology, and Jon Tyson is making us think that all these people are men and women of great faith who are hungry for the Word of God and they're spiritually mature, and that's just not true. That's not true. Sometimes these miracles are done through charlatans. Sometimes it's just what people want to see. And the deal is that Satan is just as active in the United States as he is in these other countries. The problem with churches in the United States is not that they don't have enough faith to see miracles. The problem is that in many cases, their theology is messed up. They don't understand the gospel of grace. I wanted to show you this video just to give you a warning. Give you a warning of when you see videos like this, or when you hear missionaries come back and they plug their ministries by saying, hey, what we're doing is really, really important because Satan is so much more active where we are at, and we get to see miracles that you don't get to see. No, that's not what's going on there at all. Now, some of these missionaries believe it. Some of them don't. They know they're just trying to sell their product. And so don't fall for it. And don't fall for what Jon Tyson is saying here. If you've liked this video, I'd ask that you press the like button and the subscribe button. And remember, keep grace in focus.